Look, I didn't move back to the States to become the main character in some backwards soap opera. I wanted quiet, 6 acres of it. After years overseas, my family and I found this little slice of heaven, a homestead with just enough pasture to stretch, breathe, and live on our own terms. You know, chickens, garden, a place to shoot a bow without someone calling the police, normal country dreams. Then there was Mr. Wills. Now, everyone's got that neighbor, the one who acts like they were born with the deed to your side yard. Mr. Wills had been cutting hay on our land for years through some distant cousin handshake that predates my existence. I didn't care about the past. I cared about being decent. So when we bought the place, I told him he could take one final cut that season. One last pass for old time's sake. Then I said, friendly but clear, after that, we'll be using the land ourselves. He laughed. Not a friendly laugh, more like the kind of laugh someone uses to test how soft your spine is. I'll be taking hay off that field for another 1,000 years, he told me. Gate won't keep me out, okay? Noted. I'm not the confrontational type. Not anymore. I've had my fill of that. So I installed a gate and put up no trespassing signs. Simple, legal, boring. But the next couple weeks, the man turned passive aggression into a performance art. He pulled up to the bus stop one morning where my kids wait just to give me a lecture about hunting. On my own land. You don't need to be hunting out here, he says, like he's the county sheriff of moral conduct. Another time, he fired up a bush hog and started mowing the state right-of-way along our frontage like he was reclaiming his empire. It wasn't his land. It wasn't mine either. It was public. That was the point. He wanted to make one. If this were a podcast, this is where the theme music would kick in. Because that was when I started listening, watching, studying. I'm not proud of it, but it's true. Once you notice the drama, you can't stop tuning in. Then came the dog. We found a blue tick puppy wandering near the ropey gears. Bigger eyes, and absolutely zero sense of personal responsibility. We fed it, took it to the vet, and put out feelers for a good home. Easy, right? Except whenever we'd leave the house for a couple hours, we'd come back to find the puppy shut inside our detached garage. Not wandering, not sitting on the porch. Locked in. Our good neighbor didn't do it. He told us he hadn't even seen the dog. It took me one long, quiet drive home from town to realize what was actually happening. Mr. Wills was walking onto my property while we were gone, poking around, and helpfully confining the dog. Snooping is one thing. Entering my outbuilding without permission, that's crossing the line into who do you think you are territory. Still, I didn't want to escalate. I let it simmer. A few days later, he confronted us again, this time about leash laws. I stood there listening, nodding like a customer service rep who's already filed a complaint. Appreciate it, I said. The dog's spoken for. We'd found a great home. But the problem wasn't the dog anymore. It was the creep of it. The way someone thinks your gate is an opinion and your garage is a suggestion. And I knew if I pushed, he'd push back harder. I wanted a zero conflict solution. Something that wouldn't end up in court or on a Facebook rant thread. So I started thinking about fear. Not the big, dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The uncertainty that makes people behave. You know what scares people more than anything? The idea that they've been seen. That night, after the puppy was picked up by its new family, I dug around a junk drawer until I found a dull orange crayon. I tore a sheet of printer paper, and with the seriousness of a Spartan carving a shield, I wrote, "Smile, Mr. Wills. You're on CCTV again." I taped it to the garage door, the exact panel he liked to slip behind. We didn't have cameras. Not one. That was the point. The next morning, we left for town. I didn't announce it. Didn't text. Didn't stage some fake car shuffle to make the house seem occupied. We just went. And when we came back, Let's just say things felt different. When we pulled back into the driveway, the first thing I checked was that scrap of paper. Still there, tilted a bit from the wind, but hanging on. If he'd touched it, I figured he'd at least straighten it out of spite. He didn't. What changed wasn't something you could photograph. It was a pressure drop. The air felt lighter. No fresh tire tracks nosed up to my gate. No boot prints drifting toward the garage. No big swinging mower tantrums on the roadside. Just quiet. The kind I'd moved here for. A day passed. Then 2. A week. I ran into Mr. Wills at the feed store, more accurately. We ended up in the same aisle, and he pivoted so hard toward the dog food that I thought he might crawl into the kibble. No eye contact. No lecture. He suddenly had someplace else to be forever. It clicked. The sign hadn't threatened him. It indicted his imagination. If he'd been stepping onto my property, maybe even doing something he wouldn't want replayed in slow motion, he now had to live with the possibility that I had him on video. The ambiguity did the heavy lifting. Not a deputy, not a lawyer, a Crayon. And that was exactly what I wanted. I wasn't trying to win a feud. I was trying to opt out of one. The truth is, he didn't back off because I outmuscled him. He backed off because, deep down, he already knew I'd put the pieces together, the dog in the garage, the timing, the way our comings and goings lined up a little too neatly. And once that sign showed up, he had to live with a new question. What if I'd seen everything? Proof invites arguments. Doubt makes people disappear. Even small trespasses feel huge when there's a chance they've been recorded, and nobody wants to risk being caught being wrong. I chose this path because I'm tired of paying the toll for conflict. I know where it goes out last, money spent, and a permanent dent in your peace. I didn't want to be the neighbor who turned every fence post into a courtroom exhibit. I wanted quiet, and the scrap of paper with a crayon gave me exactly that. No shouting, no chest thumping, just silence, finally. If you're in a similar spot, here's what actually helped me, minus the drama. Set your boundaries early and plainly so there is nothing to interpret. Keep your cool and keep simple notes enough to remember what happened without turning your life into a case file. When you can, lean on uncertainty. People behave better when they aren't sure what you know. And through it all, guard your reputation. Be fair, be firm, and save the legal route for the moments that truly leave you no other choice. And here's the part I didn't expect. With the drama gone, I noticed how much of my attention it had been renting for free. Once the sign did its job, I got my headspace back. The garden grew. The kids learned to call the barred owl down by the creek. Even the wind sounded different. I still keep the sign up sun-faded now. The crayon like a ghost of itself. It's become a little legend in our house. The day peace came cheap. Respect goes both ways. Keep yours, and I'll keep mine. But if you cross the line, well, don't make me pull out my crayon.